When I was 4 years old, my mother gave me something that was quite magical. It was this little blue card, and it changed my life because it was a library card. It was a library card to my local public library. I didn't have much money growing up. We were quite poor. But with this library book, I went into the local library. It was about 400 meters from where we lived. And it just opened up this whole universe to me of literature, of reading, of stories, narratives. And it changed my life. If my mother hadn't have given me that public library card when I was 4 years old, I would not be standing here and she would not be sitting next to me. I can tell you that. I have a favourite book. It was The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, which is still a popular book to this day, even in Singapore libraries. I love it because it's funny, and that's where I got my inspiration from to try and write humorous books, columns. And it was about social commentary. It was about real life. It was about a working class boy, like I was, who grew up in a very unusual family, like I did. And it was informative, and it was funny, and it was engaging. And then I found out the author was a woman. It was a middle-aged woman, and I thought, if she can do that, I can do that. I'm not saying I can write books as well as Adrian Mole, but that was the book that made me think I could try to write something that was funny and socially engaging. So yeah, that was the book that changed my life. From life, everyday things, and this one here, this book right here that is available on the NLB digital books app, mobile app. This came from her. This is Abby Rose and the Magic Suitcase. My daughter is called Abby Rose, and one day she was in our apartment in Singapore, and she had this little kiddie suitcase that she was taking from room to room. She'd go in the kitchen and say, the kitchen is the United States. She'd go into the bedroom and she'd say, this is Japan. She'd go into the bathroom and say, this is Malaysia. And each room was a different country. And I was fascinated how she was using her suitcase as a portal to take her to different places. And I thought, that's a brilliant, simple idea. Every child has a suitcase. Every child wants to travel. If we put the two together, you get this. Abby Rose and the Magic Suitcase. A story about a young, confident, adventurous eco-warrior who tries to essentially save the planet. On a personal level, if you don't read, you can't write. It's as simple as that. The more you read, the better you become at writing. And the number one tip I give to all young writers in Singapore, when they say to me, how do you become a writer? You read. The more you read, the better you'll become. It's impossible. It's like trying to run without walking. If you can't walk, you can't run. If you don't read, you can't write. But reading is the best escape from the mundane, from the miserable, from whether it's studying, whether it's working, whether it's family issues, personal issues. If you can pick up a book and for a few minutes, a few hours, you can disappear into a different world. It's just a wonderful release. And I think now more than ever, we need as much escapism as we can get. And if books do that, fantastic. How? Get to your library. That's number one. Get to your library. There is no excuse for not reading because two things. We have the best public library system in the world. No one's paying me to say that. I'm wearing a t-shirt, but nobody's paying me to say that. We do truly have the best public library system in the world. That's number one. Number two, we're a nation of commuters. We spend our lives on MRT trains and buses, so we have the time. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't play the odd game on our phones and we shouldn't catch up with the news on our phones. That's all fine. But just now and then, when we're caught on the MRT or we're caught on the bus, pick up a book. Physical book or a book from the NLB mobile app, but just read, We are a nation of commuters. We're always on a bus. We're always on a train. So read, and read as much as possible. And we have the best public library system, so no excuses.